Hello again, everybody. I've got something a little bit different for you this time. Instead of playing a campaign mission, I thought I would just show a Warcraft 3 random map against the toughest possible AI opponent, an insane computer. I used to hear people say that it's impossible to beat insane computers with legitimate play, and that you have to cheese and exploit the AI, or rush them before they're ready. I thought I'd give a little demonstration that that's not at all true, and also just talk about some of the things that I really like a lot about Warcraft. One thing I really like is the very elegant economy. There are only two resources to collect, gold and lumber, plus population to manage, but they get you what you need from an RTS economy. Most obviously, it provides limits and pacing. You can get a giant army eventually, but you can't do it fast. The upkeep mechanic helps with that a lot too. More importantly, resources provide a risk and reward incentive for leaving your base, and Warcraft 3 does that really well. Building an expansion base at a new gold mine is very expensive and very risky, but very, very rewarding. It's a real question whether to do it or not. It's not a no-brainer either way. And lastly, an economy serves as an alternative weak point to the enemy army. If you can't beat their army in the field, maybe you can raid and strangle their economy. And Warcraft 3 has a ton of that. Attacking people's peasants on gold or lumber is very common, and there are lots of raiding tactics and countermeasures for each race. So as I see it, Warcraft 3 streamlined the economy down to a point that requires very little management, but gives you the full benefits of having risks and rewards and raids and counter raids and a good pacing to the game. Of course, if what you want from a game is a lot of economic management, then it's not really right for that player. Now, it's just about time to build my first hero. The implementation of heroes I think is pretty great in several ways. For one thing, it alleviates a problem a lot of RTSs have, where there's a long phase at the beginning of every single match where nothing really happens. People just crank out villagers routinely one at a time and watch resource counters tick up slowly and buildings go up. In some games, there are almost no meaningful choices to be made at all for quite a few minutes. In Warcraft 3, that phase lasts 2 minutes. After that, you are either adventuring or raiding the enemy. The choice of which hero to start with is itself a strategic one. Each race has 4 totally unique heroes. I'm choosing a very unorthodox one here myself. Plus, there are 8 more unique neutral heroes available to any race if they get a unit out to this tavern. Either way, the choice is irrevocable, and therefore important. I'm choosing to build an early store here, by the way. Each hero itself has 3 unique spells available to choose from, and as they level up, they can either improve their old ones or pick new ones. So a lot of choices, and especially in the early game, fighting the same race with 2 different heroes feels pretty different. Likewise, playing with this one, the Tauren Chieftain, feels pretty different. Almost no one else used to start with this guy, in one-on-one that is. Time for some micro. I got my units point blank before I attack, and I try to have the Tauren Chieftain tank the hits. If I hadn't microed like that, then number 1, my more vulnerable grunt would have taken more damage, or worse yet, he would have gotten netted down, unable to fight at all. Just about every neutral monster has at least one ability to make them interesting to fight. There's a lot of strategy to how you fight the creeps, as they're called. I'm choosing to take out the trappers first because the DPS to EHP ratio is favorable. But you could make an argument for attacking the ogre first, because only he drops an item, you might want to get that early. But saving hit points is pretty valuable to the orcs early on. And no item I get from these guys is so powerful that having it a few seconds early makes that big a difference. I've been doing what used to be a pretty conventional orc build, which includes this early tech. One thing that wasn't great about the meta is that almost everyone wants to tech early. Claws of Attack, that is the worst possible item drop. Well, I'm going to choose to get very aggressive. I'm going to sell my Scroll of Town Portal, which is kind of your get out of jail free card. It can save your town or your hero. But I'm going to use it to get out more heals faster, so I can creep more aggressively and gain more experience on my heroes. For the same reason, I'll pick up a 3rd grunt instead of staying with just 2. These player-built stores were a great addition in the expansion. Fixed some balance problems that made heroes more important. What I'm doing here is baiting these gnolls out of their defensive position. I want to kill their archers first, but because they're in the back next to some trees, it's often hard to crowd your melee units in to swarm them, because orc units are very bulky and big and get blocked easily. As you can see, by the way, I'm not trying to wall up my base like I often would against a human. There's just no point either way, because the AI won't actually try to raid me like that. Did some micro there to spread the damage without getting the Tauren Chieftain hit. Getting hit would have cancelled his heal over time, so that's why he's not tanking this one. And now for something unusual. Back when I was playing on the ladder at least, orcs almost never went for early expansions. I always played in my own peculiar ways though, and it worked pretty well. I've never really understood why some people play cookie-cutter builds in strategy games, especially one like Warcraft that really encourages creativity and allows for a lot of different approaches. Okay, now I think that getting hit with a thrown net cancels off your heal, so I think I'll keep the guys getting healed back for a few seconds. One minor mistake I made actually was not getting his heal started earlier. There's a lot of room for micro and skillful play in this game, but insofar as I had an edge, it was always more on the strategy side. Alright, I'm going to throw down my expansion even while the battle rages. I'll micro out that injured grunt. In fact, I might have my Tauren Chieftain go over there and throw a heal on him. Oh, Circlet of Nobility, that's a pretty good item. Now I think Ensnare is on oh, that was dumb of me. I thought that guy's Ensnare was on cooldown. Well, that cost me 33 gold, not too bad. This early expansion will vastly more than make up for that. Alright, let's keep the aggressive creeping going. Next destination is a store. Having neutral stores to fight over was another great feature. It creates points of contention that aren't just bases or expansions, and it allows for a lot of hero customization. We orcs love our items. Now I don't want to repeat that mistake and get some heals cancelled off. I also want to get positioned to take down this tough camp quickly. It's a no-brainer to go for the Berserkers on this one. Berserkers have massive damage, but terrible hit points, and also their armor type makes them extra vulnerable to my guys. By the way, I think the whole system where most creeps fall asleep at night is a pretty cool twist too. Changes tactics. Uh-oh, that guy is stuck. Once again, orcs being huge is kind of a problem sometimes. Well, I hit tier 2, I should pick my next hero. Shadowhunter 2nd is a more conventional pick. I think it's a good choice though. And I'll get my tier 2 buildings out fast. This grunt might die unless I use a stun to save him. Usually I try to avoid casting spells on creeps so I can save the mana for use against players. But on the other hand, it does mean I'm passing up the free mana from regeneration. Terrible items. I'm really not having good item luck so far this game. Oh well. I'll buy another circlet at least. Now I'm going to check the enemy expansion. Always very important whether you're playing against a computer or against a human. Of course, the insane AI cheats for massive resources anyway, they don't really need expansions. Alright, they're not here. So instead I'll steal their creeps. Someday they'll come down here and find that they wasted their time, and there's nothing waiting for them. And my heroes will get all the stronger. Ah, they still got him. I underestimated the range on that net. I am taking a risk here, of course, because the AI could show up and attack me from behind now. If that happens, I'll just use my speed scroll and beat a very brave retreat. The net of the guy who's already in melee. Not great tactics on their part. Okay, time for some base management. I need 5 peons in the expansion. I have 1, I'll train 2 from here and 2 at the expansion. And I'll stock up my new hero with healing items. That'll save me a trip back to base. Ah, a ring of protection. My item luck has turned around. That's excellent on a Tauren chieftain. I'll train my first raider. Those are pretty cool, unique units. I've never been as great with them as some people, but they're very useful. My army and my new guys will meet up in the middle where I can get some heals done and then attack another big camp. Tier 2 is where the orcs unlock a lot of their strongest options. It's probably the peak of their relative power. Speaking of which, I'm going to get out my first caster unit. Spirit Walkers were a really interesting new addition in the expansion. One of my favorite units. Heals for everybody. And my expansion is just about good to go, so I'll train those other 2 peons I was waiting for, and that'll put me up at full economic potential. With that, my economy will be almost as good as theirs. This is a really tough creep camp, and because of the unit types in it, it might not be possible to control them and have them all focus the Tauren chieftain. I'll try it, but they probably just won't go for him. 2 net throwers, and the ogre magic will retarget after every time he casts bloodlust. Yep, there go the nets. Well, my plan will be to focus down that ogre magic next so I can't buff too many guys before he dies. Again, most creeps have unique abilities, and his is quite powerful. You can see that I'm taking pretty heavy damage but spread out here. You get out of there. And you get out of there. Well, we're already in need of more heals, but luckily I brought more heals, so we're good to go. Potions are meant to be used, and I'm getting to the point of the game where I have more healing options anyway. Still, I wonder if there's some way I could have done this better to keep them focused on the Tauren chieftain. I'll experiment with the AI sometime. Oh, that's a very good item. Fantastic. Mana is really valuable in this game. I'm going to sell this lousy potion, though. I want this hero to be incredibly tanky. Building units versus buying items is an important trade-off in this game. I thought about checking their expansion, but I think instead I'll just creep more and get my heroes to be stronger. I'll send the Shadowhunter home to stock up on items, and back in town I'll get my upgrade building, which will also unlock the important Kodos. And because of my expansion I have plenty of money so I can get more units, too. I'd be glad to get that upgrade for my casters as well to unlock new valuable spells for them. Another nice plus of the upkeep system is that it encourages building quality units and upgrading them rather than getting massive quantities. By the way, while the Shadowhunter is away and the Tauren Chieftain is the only one fighting, he gets all the experience, which is actually kind of good. It's not always a good thing, but a Tauren Chieftain really powers up a lot from leveling up. This is in marked contrast to what used to be the main orc hero, the Blade Master. He starts really strong out of the gate, but he gets almost nothing as you go along. When I fought orc versus orc mirror matches, I found my Tauren Chieftain was a big advantage. With my Tauren Chieftain's speed R to give me easy exits, I think I would have a key advantage if a battle broke out now. So I'll see if I can provoke a fight by going to where the enemy might be expanding, or trying to creep. Don't try to fight unless you have a reason for it, and you think you can win. In this case, I want to control their location, get experience by killing them, and I think that my speed R will make me invincible. Just to make sure, I'll detour to the store to buy some important items though. Back in the base, I'm trying to store up a lot of money. Before going into upkeep, that is. So I'm going to do a massive building spree of lots of burrows and a bestiary. You'll see why later. I often play aggressively to cover for this kind of greedy strategy. Okay, I'll sell those terrible claws to make inventory room, and pick up one of the game's best items, a Scroll of Healing. Sadly I can't get the other one yet. Speed is important right now, so I'm not going to wait for it. I love how good consumables are in this game. Alright, let's check the expansion. Better safe than sorry, so I've cast an important pre-battle buff to spread out damage among all my guys. Very interesting spell. There they are. Oh, they're trying to creep. I'm going to see if I can come in behind them. If I catch them fighting monsters in that dead end, they are toast. That kind of risk and reward is a big part of strategy in this game. Oh, they came back out. Either I was a few seconds too slow, or they saw me. They are still wounded and trapped, though. I mostly dodged that Flame Strike area of effect attack. They've got a lot of hurt people, and they are foolishly trying to attack me with their wounded force. Of course, even a human couldn't really have escaped except with the town portal in this case. I caught them in a really bad position where they couldn't really escape. Not from a Tauren chieftain and a bunch of raiders with thrown nets. Alright, great. Because their resources are almost unlimited, that doesn't really hurt their army, but it does give me a lot of valuable experience for my heroes. There's blood in the water, so I'm going to get a Kodo Beast and some more lumber peons to press my advantage. Wipe out these creeps for even more experience. Besides my intellect, that is my one key weapon against the AI. They have a better economy, they can out-tech me, they can out-army me. But my heroes are much better than theirs. I'm going to get the seldom seen Orc Tier 3 boost to my Kodos here to give them a 20% instead of 10% attack bonus aura. That aura synergizes well with the Tauren chieftains. I'm reconsidering the extra lumber peons actually. I think I have enough, I just need to be patient. Now I might have won if I attacked immediately, but besides their base defenses, they'd be cranking out lots of Tier 3 Ultra units. So I think I should power up more to be on par with them instead of fighting against that disadvantage. Right now I'm getting stronger at a faster pace than they are. Picking up items, building Kodo Beast, getting my army much larger, and higher quality units too. Sell that thing. I mentioned that Claws of Attack are much better in multiplayer than they are in single player, but they're still not that good except on maybe a Blade Master. Alright, now I've kept a lot of population room free for a reason. So I'll do another unusual strategy and start massing air as orcs. People didn't seem to see that coming. I'll pick up upgrades too. I usually prioritize those behind items. And I'll keep just patrolling their territory and stealing their creeps. I really want to catch them off guard out here. Oh, whoops, didn't mean to pause it there. Anyway, I'll just keep him under siege here and wait for my chance. Aha! Let me get ready. I'll cast Spirit Link, and again, and one more. That won't help much against their Flame Strike, but it will prevent them from focus firing anybody down while I take out their guys one by one. I'm going to get aggressive against their hero, because I noticed that he's level 3. Normally I take out the other guys first, but being level 3 means he can deal major damage with his spells. They're going after my Shadow Hunter, of course. Drat. Little too late on that War Stomp. Couldn't interrupt his Flame Strike. I'd love to follow up with a Hex, but I've got to avoid Stormbolt on my Shadow Hunter. Okay, he's in retreat. I'll heal up and then kill those guys as they try to retreat. I kept everyone alive myself, but I'm not strong enough to overrun his town. Here comes his Mountain King. I've got too many disables, he can't get away. He's too stupid to run anyway. A lot of hit points to get through, though. This is going really well, but I should start pulling back. Perfect, level up. I'll turn this critically wounded Spirit Walker ethereal so that nobody can attack him and kill him. Alright, I took out all the easy targets, and he's breaking up Tier 3 melee units, his knights, so it's time for me to get out of there. And this is the part I'm talking about, where my superior speed will let me get away with no casualties. Everyone is critically wounded, but he can't do a darn thing about it. Unless I have control problems. Go, go! Oh, too slow on that Flame Strike. Well, I successfully made my way back to where my other air units were oncoming, so now I have some really strong firepower. I'll just take out his air unit first, and do heals to save all my critically wounded guys. I could have tried to net down his fleeing knight, but I think one is good enough for now. He suffered catastrophic setbacks there. I got some level ups, so I can really max out my speed and firepower at this point, and my healing too. I should have leveled up before doing my previous heals actually, but it was a little bit hectic. The computer is just being an idiot here, mindlessly walking its troops one by one into this meat grinder. I'll just rebuff and roll over him and probably take out his base soon now. My micro is not great in that fight, but good enough. I want more wyverns for complete air supremacy and some demolishers to complete the final push through his base. I've got plenty of money to go into high upkeep at this point. I'll take out one more Griffin Rider here, and then I think it's time to go shopping for some items. Those will also help support the final push. The Goblin Merchant should have been able to restock. I also just want to get out of their line of fire for a moment, just so I can heal up with some salves. There's one. Throw out a couple more here. Just trying to use my prep time efficiently. Try to have your healing scrolls on different heroes, by the way. If the same hero holds two, they have a long cooldown. I'm still too far away to buy one. You know, I should also use my Clarity Potion to heal my mana over time. Time for some more burrows. I should have done that earlier actually, but I was busy fighting at the time. In the meantime, I might as well pick up a few more upgrades.
I stand ready.
I'm going to just drink this potion now, so I've got full mana going into the big fight. Okay, I'm going to start my final advance while I wait for my siege weapons to catch up. I'll throw out the Spirit Link buff on everybody as I keep walking. The way that works, by the way, is that if a unit who has Spirit Link gets hit, then half the damage they would have taken, after armor and so forth, gets divided among everybody else who has Spirit Link. Clever, since the orcs are good at multi-target heals. Perfect. I was hoping they'd have an expansion like this up. Now they'll have to come defend it and fight outside their base, where I'm strong and they are weak. My Ultra Tank Tauren Chieftain is positioned to intercept them when they arrive, probably from that side. I'll look back at the base for a second here and get some more upgrades. Great start, wasting time on the Tauren Chieftain. I'm going for early hero kills because they left their fragile Archmage exposed. I can easily stomp him and crush him. Here's the big wave. I'll just pour on the heals while my air forces take them out one by one. Down goes a Griffin Rider, the others are fleeing too fast for it to be efficient to attack them. So I'll just keep targeting all their vulnerable units and take their DPS off the board. I could dispel their water elementals, but I think I might want to save my mana. I'm killing them well enough on my own. I'll just use my nets to pin down and kill another hero. Wait, why did he flame strike there? Who was he even trying to hit? What was his plan? I decided not to repeat my mistake from before, and I went for his other guys instead of going after his hero again. I'll slaughter the rest of the army and finish him off later. Oh, or I could walk back and get killed right now. That's fine with me too. And level up. I'm going to pull everybody back around the Tauren Chieftain, so I can use the healing scroll on every single person at once. There's no limit to how many people I can heal. Down goes the Mountain King. Then let me grab these stragglers who've gotten distracted attacking his random peasants who are trying to rebuild. And down goes the Archmage again. With that, I think their town is borderline defenseless. To speed up the final assault, I'm going to build out more siege weapons and more air units. I don't want to get hung up for 5 minutes just beating down helpless structures. Okay, I'll just move everybody north into their base and watch for targets. And I'll keep the heals up so they never have a good target of their own. I love seeing militia come running in the late stages of the game. They are hilariously easy targets now, but they're so scary at the start. Oh, you know what? I can eat that guy. There's basically no better target for that than a big strong unit like a knight. Mass Devouring Kodos used to be the orc counter to tier 3 melee units, since almost nobody played orc air. I don't have the pillage upgrade, by the way, so I'm not getting any resources for this, but that doesn't really matter anyway. It wouldn't have helped this game because I wasn't getting aggressive against their base. I'll grab another raider just to have maximum siege damage available. Well, as you can see, the game is over except for mop-up at this point. They had time to rebuild their expansion, so I'll dispatch my Wind Riders who are just not that great against buildings down to the south to kill any peasants down there. The ground units, who are better against buildings, will stay up here. Nope, they've got nothing. Well, as you might have noticed, I took no casualties whatsoever during all those battles with the AI. This despite being quite out of practice. As a post-commentary note here, I did this video way back when I was doing my first Warcraft 3 video, so I'd hardly played in years. So I think the point is made that you don't need to use any kind of exploit to beat the insane AI. You don't even need great micro. Goodness knows, rewatching this I saw all kinds of mistakes that I made that I wouldn't have done back when I was in practice. What it really comes down to is having a good strategy. My greatest strength relative to the AI was having great heroes, so I played that up as much as I could. I denied them some creeps, I avoided letting them kill any of my guys, I took a fairly aggressive creep route myself, and to mitigate their enormous economic advantages, I made sure to grab an early expansion and also stay at no upkeep for a while. Just like if I was playing against a real human, I covered for that by getting aggressive, and using my superior maneuverability. In general, a lot of the tactics that I employed here are things that I would have used against a real person too, which was kind of the point. This used to be one of my favorite maps when I was playing multiplayer, actually. I don't think I mentioned the reason. So that north store that you saw me go to earlier, that's a special one called a marketplace. They aren't on many maps, and on each one they sell different things. Basically, they can sell anything that a creep on that map could drop, which I think is a pretty good way of balancing out some of the luck of random drops. Warcraft 3 doesn't have too much luck in it, which I'm glad about, but the item drop randomness can occasionally matter quite a bit. Well, I'll have a guy scout the south here, just in case they somehow built something back at their expansion. Again, you have to kill every single building. The AI won't surrender like it would in some games. Looks like we're all clear, so when I kill this last thing I should win. Alright, well there you have it. A conventional play, 0 casualty win against an insane AI. Let me know if there are Warcraft campaign missions or scenarios or other things you'd like to see me do. And with that, have a great day everyone.